Hey guys, my name is Hank, and this is some stuff I like. Today we're going to be taking a look at two fragrances from the house of Zara. Zara is a Spanish fashion designer. They have some stores in the United States, and they produce a ton of fragrances in the fragrance community. They're not very well regarded. They do a lot of clones and inspired by fragrances, basically copying more popular designer and niche fragrances. The fragrances we're going to look at today are for men. We have Zara 8.0 and we have Zara 9.0 in the red bottle. Just to start, we're going to take a look at the presentation, get a close-up look of the box and bottles, and get you some more information on that. Looking at the presentation for Zara 8.0 and 9.0, we have a pretty standard box here. Name of the house on the front, name of the fragrances, a couple of notes, size and concentration. On the top, we just have the name of the house, Zara, nothing on the sides. The bottom is a pretty standard batch code arrangement if you want to verify your purchase. I don't actually know if you can, but you can try. And on the back, we are looking at a pretty standard backing, ingredient information, some more notes on the fragrances, and kind of a representation of what the bottles are. Color-coded 8.0, 9.0, and down inside, it's a very chintzy way to hold the fragrances, just this little plastic divider here, and some more information, warning, don't drink this, obviously. Moving on to the bottles, which are quite nice, very Hugo Boss bottled-esque in terms of their design and their look. Kind of a frosted glass, very pretty. Notes from the fragrances on the front and the concentration. You have a sticker on the bottom with your size on there and concentration, and a batch number that surprisingly does not match the box. So we've got that going on. Cap is pretty nice plastic, a little bit of weight to it, more weight than the Boss bottled line. And the atomizers are actually pretty good. As you can see, distribution is quite wide for a cheap fragrance. And you also have the name of the house written along the cap, if we can get it to focus. Zara. Pretty nice overall. The frosted glass is a little uneven, but nothing to complain about when you consider how much these fragrances cost, and you're getting two of them at one time. So overall, these are some good-looking bottles, and the box is cheap, but what can you expect from a fragrance that costs this much, especially two that are pretty good. Taking a look first at 8.0, not my favorite of the two. It's a good spring and summer fragrance. Definitely not in the high heat because it is a little on the heavy side due to some musk and amber that are in here. But right off the top, we get this really great, like, minty melon vibe that kind of gives you a slight grapefruit feel. But you can definitely, if you just focus a little bit, you can pick out that mint, that melon. The violet isn't really noticeable. Instead, this lily of the valley note that they mentioned, the Moujouet, is French for lily of the valley, kind of lends it a floral feel. So you have this nice fruity, fresh opening, a little flat, a little bit floral, and as it dries down, it gets more aquatic, builds up more of an aquatic feel with this very light musk, not animalic or dirty, an amber backbone to build up the base essentially. This most often gets compared to Lacoste White or Lacoste Blanc. I haven't smelled Lacoste Blanc, but I do know that it has a grapefruit top, which is very prominent, and it makes for a good spring and summer fragrance. Again, not in the high heat because it is on the denser side. And for a fragrance that works good in the heat, this does last quite a while. Off of my skin, I get a good 6+ hours. Projection is moderate at about an hour, hour and 30 minutes. But for something that's fresh and got a good feel to it and is mass appealing is the big piece here, that's not bad for what you're paying. Overall, the distribution's good on the sprayers, as I mentioned. And for the first half of this package, which in my opinion isn't my favorite part, it's still very good and a good start to somebody who is just getting into the fragrance game that isn't really that doesn't want to use something like a Sauvage or a Bleu de Chanel or a Dylan Blue and just wear that all year round. This is a good way to break it up where you're just in the spring, just in the summer, not in the high heat, and not really a date night fragrance. Now moving on to 9.0, which did get a little bit of hype briefly because it shares a lot of feel to Valentino Uomo, Dior Homme Intense, mainly because of the iris note in this. It did catch a little bit of hype. It's still very inexpensive, and it is my favorite part of this package. It's a very good fall, a very good winter fragrance, and a date night fragrance at that. Something with iris that I think a lot of us know is that it's very sensual. It has a very dense feel to it, powdery, sweet, a little bit lipsticky to some people, but not in this instance. This isn't very lipsticky or makeup bag like. Instead, it gives off a very elegant and dense but soft feel to it that every time I smell this, I love it. It's fantastic. I want to wear it as much as possible. It's a little bit comparable maybe to, you could say, Halloween Man Shot, if you're familiar to the iris in that. It's closer to that level of iris, although Halloween Man Shot is much more vanillic, boozier, and the iris is toned down but still a major player, and that's how I would describe this. The notes here: bergamot, juniper, coriander, pepper, cardamom, orris, vetiver, amber, and cedarwood. The iris, orris, is one of the bigger players. Same with the cardamom and the amber. Don't get much in terms of vetiver or cedarwood, but off the top, that juniper, coriander lends a spicy feel to the opening, which is very pleasant and very wearable and elegant. Like I said, a very good date night fragrance. You're going to have a hard time making anybody upset with this one. Same thing with 8.0, but 8.0 just doesn't really do it for me in terms of a unique feel. But I find that for me, my personal taste, it's very hard to find something that's unique that I enjoy in the hotter weather. I'm very much into the colder weather stuff, which is why 9.0 really knocks it out of the park for me. If I could wear this all year round, I would. Performance is better for 9.0 than 8.0. Off my skin, 8 hours at least. On my clothes, even better. Projection, I get about 2 hours on this, and the sillage is good. It lingers for quite a bit, and people are really, they're drawn into it. It's not something that's familiar to them. A lot of people, at least, they're not familiar with the fragrance. So it's very alluring in that sense. And part of why I'm such a fan. Now, this 2-pack is a really great deal. I'm not sponsored by Zara, I wish. But on their website, each individual bottle, if you were to just buy 8.0 or just buy 9.0, it'd be $22.90. That's not shipped. You can get it shipped for, I think it's $4.99. And when I was looking at these, I'm like, oh, $22 is a really good price for a budget fragrance that does something very well, especially when you compare the prices to Dior Homme or Dior Homme Intense or Valentino Uomo. The pricing is very competitive. It's good. They don't smell cheap or synthetic. They're not perfect clones, but I'm not sitting here and smelling these and going, man, this is gross. It's a synthetic mess. They do smell very good. And that's something across some of the Zara line, like the Rich, Warm, Addictive. It does smell very good as well. What made this combo pack so enticing is you're getting 200 ml bottles for $29.90. So for essentially $7 more, you get the other fragrance. So if you were like, man, I love Lacoste Blanc, I can't find it, or it's too expensive, it's not. But you're just like, man, I really want to try Zara 8.0, and for $7 more, you get another fragrance added on top of it. So at the end of the day, you can look at it with shipping. Each of these in this combo pack ends up being about $16 or $17, which is incredibly cheap for 100 ml of two fragrances that are frankly very good, and in the case of Zara 9.0, I think is excellent. Overall, I would probably give 8.0 a 6.5, which for a spring and summer fragrance is good for me. Like I said, I have a hard time finding fragrances that are appropriate during the hotter months that I enjoy. And Zara 9.0 gets a 9.0. It's not perfect. It's hard to be perfect in the fragrance game. Everybody has different feelings about the ways different things smell. In this case, I love iris. I love that powdery, sweet feel that it gives off, and I think the amber pepper backbone that's lent to it just makes for a very beautiful fragrance, and something that, despite it being so cheap and maybe people going, I think Zara is not a great fragrance house, that I reach for pretty frequently, even honestly for the office, by toning it down a little bit during the colder months like we have now. That's it for today, guys. This has been a review of Zara 8.0 and 9.0. You can pick these up, like I said, for the 2-pack, $29.90 on Zara's website. I'll have a link down below. I don't get anything if you buy it. Other places it's more expensive. If you look for it on Amazon or maybe on the gray market, they're charging more for it than you can get it directly from the manufacturer. So not really my recommendation, and each solo bottle is $22.90. So if you're going to go for one of these, if you're like, man, I really like the sound of 8.0 or 9.0, just get the other one. It's cheaper. It saves you on having to buy it and then say, man, I want the other one now, and pay for more shipping. It just doesn't make sense. Get the combo pack. It's a great deal if you're into it. If you want to see me review anything else in the future, leave a comment down below and let me know. If I like it, I'll review it. Leave a like if you liked the video, guys. If you disliked it, dislike it. And if you want to see what I've got coming up next week that I like, then subscribe and hit the little bell so you get a notification when the video comes out. That's it, and thanks for watching.